Welcome, everyone. People are just starting to arrive. I'm just going to give everyone a minute or so to get settled in, um, and we'll be right back. So hang tight. Okay, I think we're ready to start. I'm seeing some people start to join in here, and that's great. Okay, so welcome again, everyone. This is the open discussion and Q&A webinar. We want to welcome you, and we appreciate you joining in. Let me just get my screen set up. I think we're ready to go here. On the call today, we have myself. My name is Mauro Scatosa. I'm the digital marketing specialist at PCI Geomatics. And we also have two technical solutions specialists on the line, Griffin Williams and Jason Flatt. They'll be answering your questions along with Sarah Thompson, who is our technical support specialist at PCI. There's Jason there. I'm sure you can see him. He's got his webcam on. That's awesome. Griffin is showing his. That's perfect. We are all here, and I will turn mine on. That's me right there. So, and obviously we're all working from home here, and what I want to do is go through here. Let me turn that off here. Yeah, so we're using our own internet services here. We're all working from home. So if any technical issues come up, just post that in the questions panel and go to webinar. And I'm moderating, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that. But we'll just continue on here. Hopefully everything works out. So yeah, so we are live right now. All your lines will be muted during the presentation, but of course, like I said, if you do have technical issues with the webinar or anything like that, I'm going to be keeping my eye on that questions panel. You can raise your hand if you have a problem. I'll keep an eye on that and try to get this webinar running smoothly. And the session is being recorded today. And what I'm going to do is send out a recording, send out an email to everyone with a recording and a link to these slides. But of course, we want you to stick around. Especially this webinar is a Q&A, open discussion. So yeah, the whole idea is to engage with you throughout the webinar and get your participation. So yeah, please stick around and enjoy the webinar. So I just want to mention a few things. As I said before, we are all working from home right now. Most people are, I think. But that doesn't mean you can't stay productive. What we're doing is we're offering a free Geomatica work from home license right now. So we have a campaign running. If you want to take advantage of that, just head over to our website. All the details are there. I think it's a great thing to for those of you who are you don't have access to your work machines right now or something, you are stuck at home. Take advantage of this, and hopefully this will help you stay productive. Okay, so just a little bit, I want to get into a little bit about our company. So PCI Geomatics has been in the remote sensing industry since 1982. Our products are part of a platform called the Geomatica platform. So here we have the tools that form Geomatica. We have Focus at the top there. We have Ortho Engine, the Mosaic tool, which are meant for photogrammetric tasks. We also have Modeler and Python capabilities for automation. So this Geomatica tool set has been in development for many years. It continues to evolve into a very rich set of tools for photogrammetry and automation. And we also have an enterprise offering known as GXL. So right here on the screen, you see a login page for the GXL system that's been installed. So this is a web-based interface that basically takes functionality from Geomatica, all those algorithms, and strings them together into automated workflows. And what you see here is what we call our job processing system, also known as the JPS administrator, where you can collect specific jobs and automatically ingest data and process it. We have the ability to deploy this technology to the cloud. So here's a piece of cloud deployment schematic that we used ourselves. So basically, you can work locally. You can install Geomatica on a local machine or on a virtual machine. Write Python scripts, build workflows, and then what you can do is Dockerize the software, Dockerize the script, point to the data, and then you can deploy that to an AWS cluster if you wish, and scale it as needed. So the Geomatica platform is a really nice, flexible set of tools in terms of capability for different types of systems, but also very flexible in terms of how it can be deployed. So let's get the dialogue going now that that is out of the way. So what we're doing here for this Q&A, we are using Slido. So with Slido, you can just go to slido.com and enter the event code. The event code is 8470. So you can join in using your smartphone, just go to a browser, enter the code, and then you can ask questions. You can upvote questions that you see there, and by upvoting questions, it will we'll probably most likely look at the ones that are most popular and answer those first. You have the ability to stay anonymous, so or you can attach your name to the question. It's completely up to you, but the ability to stay anonymous is there if you wish. So the questions will appear in real time on an interactive wall, and I will just get that I'll get that running right now. Okay, so I think what we see here, pretty sure everybody can see that screen. And I'm just going to go into full screen mode. So we really appreciate all the questions that we've got. We've been taking these questions in for about a week now, I think. And it looks like we got 20 questions in total, and this is great. We really appreciate your participation in this. We're going to try to get to all these questions. I don't know if we have time to get to all of them today, but we have our two technical solution specialists and our support specialists online. So hopefully we can really tackle the majority of them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through them and one by one and see how far we can get. So we can start at the top here. I see we have it's got 5 upvotes, so we might as well work with that one. Can you please show us what the GXL interface looks like? Also, can you show a typical workflow? So I'm going to hand this over to our specialists, whoever wants to take it. Griffin, Jason, Sarah, you guys can, whoever wants to take it, just grab the screen.
Alrighty, I'll grab this one.
Yeah, Griffin, take that.
My screen. Okay. So that question there was asking about the GXL and what does it look like, the interface and workflow. So as Mauro showed, he already showed you the splash page for the GXL login. It's a web-based login. So I'm just going to connect in here with my username and password. Here's the create job panel that Mauro showed, just a little bit more kind of detail and interactive. You can see we have a variety of different jobs in the GXL, which are sorted into different collections here. So if I was interested, for example, in all of the jobs that we have that are related to elevation models, I could click on the DEM here and we'll see this list now changes to be filtered by all of the jobs that are related to DEMs. If you wanted to, we also have this section down here called workflows. And in this workflow section, we actually have several common workflows that we find a lot of our users have, and we sort of, kind of pre-make them. So for example, if you wanted to mosaic from raw images, for example, this would be, you can do it in 8 jobs via the GXL. And you could run them in this particular order to get all the way down from raw data ingestion to a final mosaic. These workflows can also be customized. So just because maybe you don't see a workflow that you're interested in this category, as someone who has the GXL, you can create your own custom workflows that string together jobs in a particular way that you want, and you can set it up that way. So I'll give you a quick example here of a job. So I'm just going to run a data ingest job, and all I need to do for that is I got to copy this. Give me a second here. Okay, so this is the job submission page. So you can add in a comment. So I'm going to call this test webinar. And for this data ingest job, it asks for my input scenes, which are located in this folder. And I'm going to put the output scenes here in an ingest folder. And in this folder, this raw folder here, I have some Sentinel-2 images, but I'm only going to ingest the multispectral. So once I have all this set up, I can click on the submit job. And valid parameters. What did I do wrong here? I must have made there it is. There's my first mistake of the webinar, off to a great start. But so now we get to the job page. So the job is running, it has some information, and we can see here the status of the job. It's running. It spawns some child jobs. We have the pyramiding is taking place, and the other images are ready to go. And this job is distributed over various servers. So on this particular GXL, we have 4 servers, and we can see that the jobs are being distributed across these servers so that none of them are particularly overloaded. That was obviously this is a very small job. There's only a few images in this folder, and it is still processing, but that's sort of how simple it is to start a job, and it's going to search through that raw folder to find all the candidate images, ingest them all, and then put them into that output folder. So I think this jobs panel can show a history of all the different jobs. So these are all the different jobs that we've done in the past. and you can use that to keep track of parameters that you used and to import parameters from older jobs, and also just to keep track from a management perspective. So that is kind of a quick introduction to the GXL and what the interface looks like and how you can run jobs and how they are distributed amongst processing servers. So
Yeah,
that
I
one
think
is,
I think that answers the question. I mean, I think that goes deep into what this person wanted to know. Thanks a lot, Griffin. I appreciate that.
yeah, my pleasure.
Yep. Okay, I'm just going to take over. I'm going to take over the screen now. Go back to the questions on Slido here. Okay. So just moving along, we'll just go to the second one here. Do you have to make a mosaic? Do you have to make a mosaic of DEM tiles, or is there a better way to combine them? Well, let's see, who wants to take that one? Maybe Jason, maybe Sarah. Do we have, let me just see here. Do we have someone to take that one?
So in regards to, I'll take it. Hi everyone, Jason
Yeah.
here. So in regards to mosaicing with DM tiles, you can either utilize the mosaic tool, but you could leverage when you run the mosaic tool, when you generate it in your settings, make sure you utilize the full extent parameters for the cut line generation. And you don't want to do any color balancing because you don't want to actually change or adjust any of the pixel values along the edges of the DM tiles. So you could still use the mosaic tool. On another note, you could also utilize Ortho Engine. You can combine DM tiles from that window or that tool set as well. But I'd actually recommend utilizing the mosaic tool. It's easy. If I had, for instance, STM tiles, and I'm working on a large data set and I just combine them, I use the mosaic file extent, merge them together, and the pixel values are not changed.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jason. How about Jason? Do you want to maybe look at these questions, and is there any particular question that you want to answer?
I'll look at the third one as well. Someone asked, what's the difference between Geomatica and other ortho geospatial analysis software? For instance, ArcGIS, QGIS, Terrasat, and does PCI Geomatics or Geomatica have a specific purpose? And so I'll just quickly touch upon that. But with PCI and what people utilize our technology for, and what we're famous for, is a number of different things, and that is our ortho imagery. We produce some of the best ortho imagery out there. With quite fast turnaround. We can generate elevation models, DEMs, one-to-one resolution of your imagery. So if you have a 5 centimeter resolution image, we can make a 5 centimeter resolution elevation model that could then be used for orthorectification. We have a cross satellite sensor support. So we support a wide array of different sensors, and we can actually work with multiple sensors together. For instance, the Mosaic tool, you can actually generate mosaics with multiple different sensors. So I did a webinar a couple months ago showcasing a mosaic of Landsat 8 and Sentinel-2 imagery. And so we have that support, and of course with scalability that you, Mauro, touched upon. So depending on what your goals are, either you can utilize Geomatica, or you can utilize the scripting technology with our Python API, or you can leverage the GXL, all depending on what you require.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that one got 4 votes, and I'm seeing some questions come in with a higher amount of votes. So this one from Fiona. Are operations faster in PIX format?
I could take it, or Griffin, would you like to take that? Or Sarah?
Yeah, I can take that. So PIX format is the format that PCI uses It's kind of our in-house format that we use. When doing processing, you don't need to use PIX format with PCI software. We can use your GeoTIFFs and other image types, but we do recommend that you import your data into PIX format because our software is optimized to work with that particular data structure. So if you do have your data in PIX format, you will see in some cases, not all cases, but in some instances, you'll notice processing speeds are increased when using PIX format compared to a different one.
Okay, that's a great question. Thanks, Fiona, for that question. It's gotten a lot of upvotes, so that's great. And also for not making yourself anonymous. I think you're the only person here that's yeah in this long list. Oh, we have another one down here. Smart UAV. Who are your biggest competitors? Well, we have a few. I don't know if anyone wants to take that one. I'm way here down at the bottom. This one just came in, I think. Who are your biggest competitors?
I can say a few of them. So traditionally, Airdas, Envy Desktop, Airbus, Pixel Factory have been some competitors of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a number of softwares that do sort of what we do, but then we just do some things a little differently too.
Let's see here. So Sarah, now that you've chimed in, do you want to perhaps take one of these?
Sure. Sorry, my audio is cutting out.
Oh, that's okay.
As is working from home, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're coming in pretty clear for me.
Perfect.
Yeah, I hear you well.
So I know there was a question earlier on of if you have a number of images loaded in focus and can you change the order that the bands are displayed? I think that was one further up.
Okay, we're at the top.
I'm not sure.
Is there a way to import? So you're looking for one that recalculate indices. How do I import my image? How do I remove features?
We can touch on any of them.
Okay, I don't see that here. Oh, maybe it's this one. I have a number of images loaded in focus. How can I change the order in which the bands are displayed for all the images? That one?
Yeah, we've had a few questions like this before as well, that people are interested in, sometimes you're loading 100 images in focus, and if you need to remove them all or you want to change, the enhancement for all of them, how do you do that all at the same time?
Right.
So I do have an example set up for that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so there are times when you have, in this case, I have, I think, 6 images loaded in focus. And so there are times when you'll have this and you may want to change, an example would be the enhancement for all of them. So you can see a few of them are missing a proper enhancement, they're not showing up properly. So what some people don't know that you can do in our software, you select all of them and then you can do various things to all of the images. So do these things in batch for all the images loaded in focus. And so there's a few options here. We recently got a question because I'm technical support, so I get a number of questions from people. And so we recently got a question about how to change the RGB mapping for all of the images. So you can do that through here and it changes them for all of them. You can then apply an enhancement and now your RGB mapping is changed for all the images that were loaded in focus. Another option that people don't necessarily know about is in the Files tab, you can also do things in batch. So you can remove all of them from the project. There's also an option to, copy, delete, but export to M file. So there's a number of algorithms in Geomatica that use M file. If you're trying to run like a Python script and you're trying to run a Geomatica algorithm in a Python script, it will use M file. So M file is just a text file that has a number of lines, one line for each file. And so this just takes all of the images in your focus project, exports them to a properly set up M file, which you could then use in a Python script later, which is useful to many people trying to do batch processing. So, yep, just thought we could touch on that and show people some things that they might not know.
Yeah, I think these are great tips to have. Hopefully that helps. Thanks, Sarah, for that. I'm just going to take my screen back to show the questions again. Here they are. Okay. Okay. So just going through the list, we have 7 upvotes. 7 votes for this one at the very top. Is there a way to import, export lookup tables for color editing in Mosaic tool? Is it possible this might be integrated into one of the new versions? What do you guys think about that?
So based on my knowledge, I'm not entirely sure that you can, but I'm not sure if someone else has a different thought on that. I think for now, you would run color balancing rather than using lookup tables.
Okay.
But it's certainly something that we could look into as well. Like I'm not, you know, some of these questions we're not necessarily going to know off the top of our heads, but this could be one that we could definitely ask around within the company and see if other people have tried to do this, if this is something that we're hoping to add to the software in the future.
It's got 7 votes. It seems popular. It's the most popular question right now. So yeah, that's great. I'll just see what else we got here. If you guys see a question that you like, that you or that you are interested in answering, just let me know.
There was a few questions I've seen, and I'll get to them over the course, but one of them was about ground truth with Object Analyst. And so the question was, how do you actually import ground truth data into an Object Analyst project? And so
was it this one? How do I import existing training sites?
Yes, into Object Analyst. So from my understanding, I can just show my screen.
Yeah, take over.
Yep. Jason. So here's just a quick example of an area of SAR data SAR data that I ran object-based feature extraction on to look at wetlands. The important point is that I have ground truth data from agricultural lands, so I want to identify what features are actual agricultural instead of having to manually collect those segments. And this is in the object-based approach or Object Analyst. So what we could do is we could transform these polygons into points using the centroid tool. So we can convert them into all these little green dots. I'll just turn them into red so we can see them. I'm just going to change the color. There we go. And so when we run through the Object Analyst workflow, so we go through if I open up Object Analyst, we go through segmentation, we then go through the attribute calculation. So we've collected the underlying statistics. We can just go to the training site editor window and go to the import option, or we have to make sure the training site vector is selected. And then all we need to do is go to the import option, point to the vector point file, the ground truth. And this is important because it can be a shape file or a pix file, but it has to be a point file no matter what. We then point to the layer that we're using, and then the field that that's going to contain the training information. So for instance, I created a little field called class. So all those points are named agriculture, so that class type will be inputted into the training. If we had multiple different types of classes within our training field, we can leverage some conflict resolution rules. So this just identifies there's 2 ground truth points within the same segment or more, which class is determined. So for this, I'm just going to click none because we don't need it. And then I'm going to click import. It loads all the ground truth in. We have 145 matches, 15 conflicts. Click OK. And we can see if I open up my attribute manager for the segment, if I scroll all the way to the end, we have now all the agricultural classes right here, ready for training site. You can also use this for accuracy assessment if you want to use external training sites for that too. But that's just a quick way of doing ground truth import in Object Analyst.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason, for that.
And if I may, I actually, Mauro, something came to me while watching Jason's little demonstration there, and it was actually reminded me of an answer to a previous question. So when Fiona's question about the PIX format and speeding up processing and the optimization in that format type, Jason's little demonstration here reminded me that one of the big advantages of that PIX format is that you can store various different types of data within one file. So a PIX format, you can have raster channels and you can have vector channels in that same file, which again can help speed up some processing and also just makes your data set easier to manage because you don't have to have a bunch of different shape files over here and you're not sure which one is associated with which raster, etc. So the PIX format kind of brings everything together that way. And so that just came back to mind after seeing Jason's presentation here.
That's interesting. All right, well, thanks for that. I'm just going to steal my screen back so we can get back to those questions. Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to go through these again. Yeah, that lookup table question is popular.
I think so. I did some researching while we've been talking, and I think there might be more to the lookup table in the Mosaic tool. So maybe that's something that we can look into and then get back to people about. But I think there might be more to that.
One thing to add to that lookup table then, if we're not going to look at the answer right now, we do have a community forum which we could post this to. And we can, of course, at the end of this, we'll showcase the link and such. And that is where we can potentially put a more in-depth answer for everyone.
Absolutely. At the end of the webinar, I'll show everyone where to access that community forum. But yeah, a lot of these questions, like I said, if we don't get to them all, if we don't have the answer for you right away, we will be following up, and there's ways to do that. So we'll show you at the end of the webinar. Okay, let's continue on here. If there's anything that you guys see.
So I think there was one on the vegetation indices. There's one, do I need to enter the NDVI equation? So this did used to be the way that we did vegetation indices was, you know, in either easy modeling or raster calculator, you'd have to enter the NDVI equation. But I think in 2017, we introduced the veg index algorithm. So it has a number of vegetation indices that you can easily run through. And a lot of them have, you know, different channels that are required. It depends on the vegetation indices. So it would depend on your imagery, which ones you can run. But there's a lot of information in the help on what vegetation indices can be run on different channels. So it is a much easier method of running any of the vegetation indices, especially if you're trying to integrate this into a Python script or integrate it into a model. It's a lot faster than trying to actually run NDVI, you know, as its own algorithm. So yeah, that's something that we added that is definitely useful. Many people ask about it, so.
Okay, awesome. What about the next one?
I've seen a few questions about INSAR. One of them was in Spanish. I got Google Translate to the rescue.
Well done.
So that there's two. One is about, and so they asked at Sentinel-1, and so I'm just gonna show my screen again.
Yeah, go for it.
So a couple weeks ago, I did a webinar showcasing. It's not the right slide screen. Either way, just showcasing TOPS or Sentinel-1 processing for deformation mapping. So the quick idea is this is the process. So you can ingest your SAR images, your raw Sentinel-1 imagery. You can co-register them by pointing to the reference and the dependent, then generate the interferogram. You can then correct it. You could correct for flat Earth and topo using our INS topo, correct for orbital adjustments. You could filter it, then perform the unwrapping, and then perform your orthorectification to ensure you have, or all the images contain the same number of columns and lines, and then once you're ready for that, you can then stack them together and run the subsidence mapping called INS CalDefo. And I go into a lot more detail in our webinars, and we have a whole help document for INSAR processing, which you can find, which is quite helpful. And of course, all this is Python enabled, so that can be quite helpful too. So that is what I like to say about that. Actually, right here, just a quick thing, we have some Sentinel-1 imagery, and for those of you who are unaware, we do support Sentinel-1, and we can actually load Sentinel-1 completely without any of the bands. We have our own little in-house software or method of presenting just contiguous Sentinel-1 images, so we can then co-register them, generate the coherence maps, the interferogram, filter it, unwrap it, and then generate some deformation mapping.
Okay, now you have to answer that in Spanish.
I'm not. Spanish is not my forte. I apologize.
Well, no, that's just the fact that you. I'm seeing the question now. Just the fact that you added that to Google Translate and figured it out and showed a demo. That was great. So
technology is great.
Yeah, I'm sure that person really appreciates that. So thanks, Jason, for that. I'm gonna go and steal the controls again and show the questions. So yeah, so these are in order of top questions, in order of popularity. So I'm just gonna continue on here. Again, if you guys see something you want to specifically answer, just let me know. I think we did this Veg Indices one. What about this one? My image has black pixels around the outside. What can I do to remove the black outline? Does that make any sense to you guys?
I can answer this. I hope that's okay with everyone. I'm talking a lot. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, perfect. So this question comes up a lot. So I saw this a while ago, so I have a little example to demonstrate. I'm just gonna open up discussion, black pixel. So the idea is that, let's say we have an image, for instance, this quick ADS image, and there's all these black pixels around it. And generally, the reason why there's black pixels is that's representing the no data values, or the values that should be set as no data. So what we see is all these black pixels are 0. So potentially that could be what's happening is your pixels that are surrounding your image are set to 0, and so they're represented as black. And the way to deal with this is actually to set the no data value as 0. So sometimes you may have imagery that has no metadata, no data values set, so you have to do it manually. And you can easily do that in the focus window by going to the files tree. And we have a number of places where you can adjust metadata. The first is, of course, on the file level. So we could just right click on the file itself in the files tree and click properties. And here we can select the metadata. And of course, there's nothing there at the moment, but we could easily add a channel. So I'm gonna select add and go to the no data value and set it to 0, click apply. And so now the no data value is set. However, channel metadata actually supersedes file level metadata. So we can actually right click on the channel, and we can see channels also contain their own associated metadata. So you could add your no data values to the metadata tab right here. So just another way of understanding and looking at your data so you can make the most out of it.
Great, thanks, Jason. I'm seeing questions come in. I'm seeing them come in both on Slido and on the GoToWebinar panel here. A lot of questions. I really appreciate this. Keeping us busy. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but we're just going to stick with, I'm going to take control again. We're just going to stick with Slido for now. Let me show the questions. So we're just going to stick with these for now, and we're just going to continue on. Where did we leave off? So what have we got here? How do I import existing training sites in Object Analysts?
Oh, this one about DEMs and removing features such as trees and buildings, I wouldn't mind taking over that one.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, let me just grab the screen here in a second. There it is. Make myself the presenter. Great. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the question about removing features from a DEM. So I have a DEM file here, which I'm loading on up. And the question specifically was referring to trees and buildings. So here's an example of a DEM. This is displayed in shaded relief. And so we can see over here in this area, we've got some bumps that, kind of look like some blunders in this DEM. And, that's not the actual state on the ground. So what I'm going to do is open the DEM editing tool, which enables me to make changes to this elevation model on the fly. So within the DEM editing panel, there's this option called Live Ortho Preview. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me updates to the ortho that I generated from this DEM in real time. So let me just snap these panels together here. Okay, so here we can see this shape here is corresponding, looks a little bit stretched. And so if we zoom into this live ortho preview at the same spot, we can see that that's the case, right? We can see that this tree here, sort of zooming in slowly for me, I guess. But this tree is a little bit deformed. It's kind of stretched. So that's something that we can fix using this DEM editing tool. So all I need to do is simply click on this create new polygon layer. It'll create a new polygon layer. And then from that, that's zoomed in. There we go. That's a better view right there.
Yeah.
And then, and I can just digitize a polygon. Digitize a polygon around this shape. And then there's a variety of different filter types that we can use here. And so all of these have their own different algorithm that determines how the filter's applied, and you can customize them in different ways to, for example, you could change the filter size and the blend width of pixels around the polygon line. But for this example right here, I'm just going to do the fill from vertices option here. And so what that's going to do is going to take the values from the vertices of the polygon that I digitized, and it's going to apply those over this area. So I click apply, and it's going to smooth out this region. And then now in my live ortho preview, we can see that the tree is no longer stretched. And before, say if you didn't like the way that looked, or you wanted to make a different change, it's very easy using this back button to undo that. So I encourage you to take a look over here. Within this polygon right now, we can see the tree looks pretty good. We can go back, and it doesn't look very good anymore. So it's easy to QA your trees and your features to make sure that that your edits are improving your mosaic and improving your orthos. And so this is really cool and super useful for, kind of improving the speed at which you can generate elevation models and different things, because you don't have to go back and forth, but every time you make an ortho and redo the entire the processing, you can just manually make updates to your DEM quickly and then those will manifest themselves in your ortho. So another thing, I think that's probably okay, but we also mentioned about removing buildings. So there's a bunch of big buildings in this region here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to fill from vertices, hit apply, and what that's going to do is going to smooth out all of those buildings. So now my elevation model, the building footprints are gone, and we can see that they were there, and you can kind of see how that changes the mosaic a little bit. It's not as obvious as with the tree example, but here we can see building like the raised buildings versus non-raised buildings. So that's a
pretty
quick
cool.
example of the quick and easy DM editing tools that we have for fixing errors and removing things that you might not want in your final outputs.
Looks like a handy tool.
Yeah, definitely. It saved me plenty of time. So I'll pass this back over to Mauro here.
Oh, hopefully that that'll save lots of time for other people too. I can see that there's a lot of handy tips that we're showing today with all these questions. So with this webinar being recorded, we're gonna be posting this webinar. We're obviously going to send out a recording to this webinar, but we're going to post this online. We're going to post this to our YouTube channel. Everyone's going to have access to this this recording with all the tips, so you can go back, watch them again. So this is great. So let's continue on here. I think everyone can see. Oh, Sarah, you wanted to?
Oh, sorry. I had a few comments. We've been sort of following up on the side about this LUT in the mosaicing option. So I did get some information from someone else at the company that there might be an ability to do it if you're running it in a script form. So not through the Mosaic tool GUI, but through a script. But I think what's a good idea with that one is I think we'll take that question and put that on the community forum, like Jason was mentioning before.
Right.
And when we have a fully formed question or a fully formed answer, we can answer that on the forum, and then everyone can take a look. So the forum's open to everybody. Anyone can post on it, and we do fairly actively keep an eye on the forum just to see, like, is there customer interaction? Should we, are there questions that we can definitely answer really easily? So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth that happens on the forum, and so that's, I think, a good question to get up there.
For sure. So that's great. Thanks for looking into that. It is a popular question.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people are interested, so it's good
Yeah.
one to answer for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I did see a few other questions. I think one was about camera calibration, exterior orientation. And I think there's another UAV question, might be through the questions, might be on Slido, but sort of to let everyone know that we are working on a service pack right now. So there is a question here about, our roadmap and what are we doing because we're all working from home. Well, do not be worried. We are still working very hard. Everyone has been working endlessly to get everything set up working from home. And so we're still hoping to get a service pack out soon. And that service pack will have a lot of new additions for the UAV workflow. So that includes camera self-calibration. So you'll no longer need a camera calibration from another software. And so you can do that all in OrthoEngine. And also we have improved high point collection to allow you to get a better model, which will then result in a better DEM and better orthos. So there's a lot of interesting stuff coming in the service pack, so stay tuned.
Yeah, for sure. Just with the way things are going right now in the world today, our offices are closed, but we are absolutely running our businesses as usual, just remotely. So everybody is working from home, and yeah, we are still able to work on our tasks and get and get some progress going on our next releases. So that's great. Thanks, Sarah, for answering that question. I think it was this one here. So I'll just continue on. Speed question. What's your plan to improve the speed of the functions in GXL?
Well, that's not something that any of us can answer directly, because we're not not the developers of the functions themselves. But it is definitely something that we strive to do with the different releases. We're always looking to improve the speed and efficiency of our algorithms, of our processing, of our workflows, to make it faster, more efficient than ever before. So that's definitely, you know, I can't answer that particularly, but I can tell you we do plan on improving the speed of those functions in the future for sure.
Okay, thanks, Griffin, for chiming in on that one.
Yeah, no problem.
3D extraction is done in image space, epipolar, then SGM or NCC, which is good for stereo imaging. Are you intending to implement the reconstruction on ground space? That's an interesting one. I don't know if anyone has an answer for that, or...
I do not have an answer for that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about the implement the reconstruction on ground space.
Not too sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know 3D extraction is, you know, yeah, I'm not sure on the answer of that either. Sorry.
Okay. Ground space. I see.
Oh, so there is that one. Did we answer that one on the DSM True Ortho Multiview DSM?
No, I don't think we did.
The data source. So this one's sort of like a 3-in-1 question.
This
So
one
someone's
here?
asking, yeah, about the DSM True Ortho. So for any DSM ortho workflow, you would need imagery and elevation data. In the case of our software, you can extract the DSM from the imagery. So maybe that answers their question for that. For the object analyst, so the GeoBIA, so in that case, you can run object analyst with just imagery, but it depends on what exactly you're trying to extract out as features. So let's say you're trying to extract buildings, then you would probably want, well, no, you would definitely want a height model or a DM or a DSM to get the height of buildings. So it depends on sort of your workflow in Object Analyst, what type of channels and whether or not you'd need a DEM, but in most cases it is quite useful.
Okay, thanks, Sarah, for that.
Quick thing,
Jason?
I'm just quickly looking through the questions as well. And just to build upon Sarah with her talk about UAV, this person does ask if we support with EXIF format. And yes, when you load phase 1 imagery or UAV imagery, which generally contains EXIF metadata, our system could automatically read that. So you don't need anything like an exterior orientation file like general aerial or traditional aerial projects.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jason, for that. We have come to the end of the questions, and I think we're running out of time here. So I think we're going to close up the questions for now. We do have, like I said, there's a lot of questions that came in. Oh, Jason, you want to chime in?
Sorry, one more. They're really
okay.
great questions, and I really love answering questions.
No problem.
So it's Alfredo. You asked about co-registering imagery. So I did talk a little bit about in the Instar, my little PowerPoint slide, that you could do co-registering of imagery in that, but that's for like Instar processing. If you wanted to co-register aerial imagery or satellite imagery in OrthoEngine, you can utilize the ground control point collection. So if you load an image in, you can collect ground control points using a reference image to align it to that. So that's one other way of co-registering.
Okay, awesome. I found that question here. Okay, thanks, Jason, for that. So I think that's it. I'm going to have to shut this down. but like we said before, we really appreciate all these questions. The questions that came in even on the questions panel here in GoToWebinar. We're going to take all these questions and they're going to go to our community forum, and we can continue the discussion. Just because this webinar is ending, these questions, we don't just throw them away. We can continue the discussion, and I'll show you how we can do that. Let me just change my screen here back to my PowerPoint. And so again, we thank everyone for participating, for sending these questions. I just want to mention that we have a bunch of resources that you can take advantage of. First of all, obviously we have tons of webinars. We do these regularly. We do have an upcoming webinar if anybody is interested, happening in April. The topic is a continuous object-based change detection system monitoring urbanization across Canada. So you can register for this right now. Just simply go to pcigeomatics.com/ECCC webinar. So a few more of our resources. We have a help center. Please take advantage of this. It's a place where you can find lots of help, frequently asked questions like the ones we saw today. We'll be posting them there. Tons of tutorials. Our webinars are here also. We have case studies, we have articles, so you can access this going to just by visiting support.pcigeomatics.com. So if anyone is looking for an answer, looking for help, this is a great resource. So I would recommend you taking advantage of that. We also have a developer zone for all you developers out there, for all your coders, scripters. There's a place where you can take advantage of a Geomatica cookbook, a documentation, tools and workflows. There's some videos on here. So that's at dev.pcigeomatics.com. So another great resource. We also have training. We have training on Udemy. Right now we have 5 courses, and these are pretty in-depth courses, and they're free training. We are planning to add more training on here, but I definitely recommend going here. There's like I said, five trainings you can register, and it's all free. pcigeomatics.com/training. And of course, we have our YouTube channel. We post all of our webinars on here, and so that it's a great resource to not only for the webinars, but we post a little tips and tricks on here as well. So I would recommend checking that out. And of course, we still use email. You can email us at info@pcigeomatics.com. And we are on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, like I mentioned, LinkedIn. You can check us out there just by going to, well, it's pretty much /PCI Geomatics, and you should be able to find us there. So with that, I want to thank everyone for participating today, for adding the questions, and I want to thank Jason, Griffin, and Sarah as well for answering those questions on the fly. We really appreciate it, and like I said, let's take this offline in the community forum. If you guys want to ask us more questions or follow up with these questions, get a hold of us there on our support site, and on our community forum, and We really like to engage with everyone and to make our products better, to make your lives easier. So until next time, we appreciate you joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.